All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. I'm your host, Omar, and today we're going to be talking about goals. Uh, See, the issue that a lot of leaders, new leaders, or leaders that don't have a great support mentorship program or guidance is that you feel that by setting a goal alone, that's enough. That's all we have to do as a leader. I'm going to help you set a goal. Once you have a goal, that's it. We're done. My job is done. You need to hit it, and I'm out of here. And if you don't hit it, you're out the fucking door. That's not the way we lead. That's not the way we fucking manage. The truth is, you need to stop just setting goals. You need to start setting and focusing on habits. Habits are what make goals possible, right? That's the issue is that you're not focusing on creating habits. You're not focusing on actually allowing things to truly happen. You think things are just going to magically manifest by setting a goal or telling somebody a goal that they need to hit, a number that they need to achieve, and that's that. I'm done. No, that's not how we do things. That's not how you lead. And by not focusing on the habits, that's how you'll fail your teams. Okay. Because you're trying to just chase numbers instead of being a true leader and building systems that are sustainable, systems that are repeatable. And that's what we want to focus on. If your leadership strategy is just telling your team to hit your goals, I mean, you've lost. You're not going to win. You're going to struggle. You might have one or two people that do very well on your team because they've taken it upon themselves to learn how to make their own habits to be successful. But they don't understand what it actually is because they have trouble explaining it to other people and showing other people what they actually do. That's the truth of it. And here's the thing. Your teams don't fail because they lack goals. We give them goals. They have goals that they have to hit. They have own personal goals that they want to achieve. Our job is to help them get there. How do we do that? You get there by building habits and systems. That is what makes hitting goals inevitable. It makes it happen. If you're obsessed with numbers, but you're ignoring the things that your team does daily, their daily behaviors, you're just trying to manage outcomes. You're not leading performance. You're not being a true sales leader. You're just trying to be a manager, and that's it. Because you think, I'm going to plug this number in, and this is the number I should get out. But I've said this before. This is people. This is not a program. This is not a machine. You can't just give a number in and expect a number out. You have to lead. You have to help mentor, train, develop, guide people to achieve success. That's what it means to be a leader. That's what it means to actually step into an executive sales role for leadership. And that is what you're aiming to do, right? Now, when you just give people goals or we help people attain goals, but you're not helping them with the habits, you're just making wishes. That's the truth of it. You're wanting to create habits. I don't care what your fucking sales process is. The true power behind a sales process is creating the habit of the sales process. And if you don't know how to create habits, you can have the best sales process in the world. It's going to flop. It's not going to work because you're not helping create the daily habits that make it happen. Now, if you're just talking about quotas for your team, if you're just constantly pestering them about KPIs, about targets, you're just watching the scoreboard. You're not caring about your team actually being able to win consistently. You want them to win. Winners focus on what happens before the numbers. Okay. Daily actions, mindset, consistency. That is stuff that you create through habits. That is not what's your goal for today. I'm going to hit three ops, three VGAs, three tablets, three wearables, three protections, three home services. So fucking what? Those are numbers. What are the actions behind it? What are the habits to ensure that we're going to be able to attain that? If my team is consistently not performing at a certain level, it's not that I don't have the right team. I'm not being the leader that they deserve by helping train and develop them to build up those habits that they need. That's what we want to focus on as leadership. Now, we talked about that just now. Don't tell your team, don't tell your salesperson, you need to hit your number today. What are you going to do to hit the number? We just talked about this on the last episode. Visualization. Visualization is a form of role playing. So if you don't like role playing, you're thinking of the old school, I'm going to be the dumbass, once in a lifetime customer that's a complete ass and try to sell me. No, focus on what comes in the most often. That is your ideal client because they're the ones that we see on a daily basis. That is what you want to focus on because 60% of the time, it works every time. A little bit of Anchorman for you. I'm telling you guys that quote, marvelous. Okay. That is a sales quote. That is strictly a sales quote. 60% of the time, it works all the time because we need to train our people that not every sales process, not every sales interaction is going to lead to a direct outcome. It could be a prospect for the future. It could be that we can follow up with them and be able to do business with them later down the road. But 60% of the time, it's going to work every time. So work on this pitch. That's going to work the majority of the time, and that's going to give you the edge. That is where you're going to see far more success. And we want those quick wins for them because that's what's coming in the door the most often. That is what we want to work on. And that is what we want to get after. And that is a habit that you help to create, to help implement. So stop wasting time setting targets for people. Start coaching and building habits with your people. That is where you're going to see success. Now, motivation fades. Motivation is not a system. You can try to rah your way to success. That shit don't work. That is not repeatable. That is not a system that's in place that's going to be successful. If you want to see consistent success, you need to build a system. You need to have something that's repeatable, that is consistent, that works day in and day out. That is what you're after. It may not be the most glorious because you're not going to have, fucking 120, 150, percent days for your gains for what you're selling, but you're going to consistently be hitting the mark. And that's where we want to be at. Because, yeah, you'll have those days where you're going to hit and it's going to be a really great sales day. But if I'm hitting my goal every single day, and then I have a few days where, boom, we're just smashing it above, I'm always going to be at 100% or more. And that's where we want our team. Because the moment they start seeing that and they start building that muscle and they start operating at that level, in a few months, if not a few more weeks, they will be consistently performing at 120, 140% to goal. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, Omar, that means my fucking goals are going to go up. I've lived it. I have literally doubled the performance of districts. You don't think I know what that looks like? You don't think I know what that feels like? Being like, okay, I know that my goal for this month should be this, but you guys tacked on an extra 30% because of how well I've been performing. I get it. But that means that they're looking at you as a leader, looking at your district from an executive standpoint, from the company, and they're saying, you know what? They're performing very well. They can help alleviate some of the pain points we have somewhere else. And even though it may feel like a punishment, because it kind of is, the fact is they're looking at what you're doing in that territory and wanting to see, is this repeatable? Can we do this somewhere else? What can we do to make this happen everywhere? And that's what you want to do. That's what you want to look for. That's the kind of leader you want to be. So focus on building systems, not motivation, because motivation is just hype, right? You can run contests every so often, right, to give it a little bit extra energy. But if That's all you're doing to try to get your people to perform? No. Contest should be on top of. It should be something to reward your people with, right? To make things a little bit more exciting. They're already performing. It shouldn't be my team sucks. Let me just start throwing nothing but contests to get them going. That's not what you want to do. Like, don't fall back under the fallacy of like, let's get this weekend. Let's push today. What are you doing as a leader? Have you been training, developing, guiding your team? If you are, then great. That extra push, cool. Because you're not going to have to pump the gas all the time. You're not going to have to leave your foot on the pedal and constantly be DMing them, constantly be messaging them, right? Whether it's group me, text messages, emails, team, doesn't matter. You're not going to have to be that micromanaging leader. Nobody wants to be that. You need to take time off. You need to focus on more important things. Omar, but performance is so important. You're there to guide your team, to mentor, train, and develop them. And when you do that, the performance will come. They will get after it, and you won't have to be pushing back on it. You will be seen by your team as a leader that's guiding them forward, opening possibilities for them, instead as a leader that sits in the back, always hiding, cracking the whip, just giving demands, and never actually being part of the team. That is what you want to get after. Be the leader that your team admires. And when you do that, when you're focusing on training, when you're focusing on developing your team, you're building sustainable success. It might be boring. You're like, but I do this, I coach them, I mentor them every so often. I go in and I'm doing that with, a couple of my people here and there. And it's getting boring. There's no excitement. There's no me jumping on the horn, blasting them. You got That's not what you want to do as a fucking leader. That's a boss. That's a manager. That's somebody who doesn't give a shit about their people. You want to be different. You're watching this today because you want to be a different kind of leader. You want to be a leader that gives a shit about your team. You want your team to perform without needing, to threaten on write-ups, without needing to, threaten to come in extra early for whatever. Coach, develop, train your people. That's what you want to do. The best teams, they're not going to be flashy. They're not going to be all sharks. By the way, those are honestly some of the worst performing teams because they have the highest fucking churn rate. Fraud is up because they don't give a shit about the back end. They just want to make sure their numbers look flashy. They have the worst team dynamics because they're all fucking toxic. So you have a bunch of people constantly leave and come, and it just sucks. But when your team is successful, they're consistent. They work together. You have lower issues on the back end because they want to make sure things are legit. That's what you want to get after. They do the small things right every day. It doesn't matter if nobody's watching. They're getting after it because they're consistent. That is what we want. Prioritize coaching routines, not last minute fire drills, not last minute pushes. Today is Friday. The weekend started yesterday on Thursday. So if you're constantly like, guys, we got to hit it, we got to hit it. What have you been doing all week? What have you been doing all month to prepare your team? You've already had a great start to the month. You had a slump in the middle of the month, and now you're trying to crack the whip and trying to push before the month is over. So performance goes up so that you hit 100% the goal. If that's you, I got some stuff for you in the link, right? Check the bio, check the link in the description, grab it, use it. It will help you. You will be a better leader because of it. Your team will be grateful for you because you're spending time coaching and developing them. That's what we want to get after. That's what you want to do as a leader. You want to be somebody that they can admire, somebody that they enjoy having around because you're actually giving a damn about them and their performance. You're coaching them up. You got a routine. They know it's consistent and they're getting after it. And you're not having to do fire drills. You're watching your peers as they're on a fucking horn trying to blast numbers as your regional VP is like asking like, hey, what the fuck's going on with your district? It's Friday. Why the fuck aren't they performing? It's, 12 o'clock. Why are the numbers so bad? But that's not you, right? If it's you, like I said, check the link in the bio, check the description in the video, grab that resource, start using it. That's important for your team. Have that consistency. Coach, train, develop. A little bit of time doing that goes a long way. You don't need to do those stupid 8 hour, trainings in a day. You don't get actionable items from that that's consistent, that your team is actually going to be able to utilize and build off of and internalize to be successful. An 8 hour coaching training day, that's not a system. That doesn't work. That's the gist of it. Grab the stuff that does work. Build habits. Be consistent with your team. That's where you're going to see true success. And that's where your team is going to start winning a lot more often. Now, stop telling your team to hit higher numbers. Stop telling your team to get after it this weekend, that, they're 10 ops down, they're 10 VG8, whatever. Teach them a better way. Help them, guide them, mentor them by coaching, by training, and developing them. And you're going to see by focusing in on small habits that they're doing, they're going to perform at a level you never thought could be possible. And that's what it means to be a leader, is helping your team unlock things that they never thought could be possible. And you'll have a much better life because of it. And so will they. All right, guys. I want to say thank you once again for stepping in and spending another day with us on the Sales Manager Academy podcast. I'm Omar, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.